The tux didn't fit. The cake hit the floor. The best man disappeared, and the music glitched right as the guests sat down. Everyone said it was just bad luck. But I've seen bad luck. This wasn't that. This was careful, quiet, layered, and somewhere between the missing names on the guest list and the second keycard I never asked for. I realized the wedding wasn't the event. It was the setup. The day of the wedding started with an empty chair. My best man, Mark, was supposed to be in the room with me. We'd booked the suite together, cracked open a bottle of bourbon the night before, and stayed up going over the schedule. He crashed on the couch. At least, that's what I thought. But when I woke up, the couch was clean, pillow untouched, blanket folded, his stuff, gone, no note, no message, just gone. I checked my phone. No calls, no texts. Maybe he got up early, I told myself. Maybe he went for coffee or to grab something for the ceremony. Still, it felt wrong. Mark doesn't flake. Especially not on this. I took a shower. The water pressure was terrible. Another little thing. When I got out, the first call came in from Sarah, our coordinator. Small issue, she said. The tuxes were delivered to the wrong ballroom. Some intern scanned the address wrong. They're bringing them now, but they'll be a little late. I told her it was fine. What else was I supposed to say? I looked out the window. Clear sky. Blue, warm. A good day for a wedding. Then another message popped up. Florist. Running behind. One of our trucks broke down. Half the centerpieces are en route, but we're short on fresh orchids. I started writing back, then stopped. Not worth it. I tried calling Mark again. Voicemail. At 10 a.m., I headed down to the prep area to meet Sarah and double-check the layout. I passed two of Emma's bridesmaids in the lobby. They were whispering, then quieted the second they saw me. Not necessarily suspicious, but it stuck with me. At the ballroom, the lighting crew was rewiring one of the ceiling spots. Power surge fried the dimmer, one of them said. Shouldn't be a problem, just takes time. Another small thing. Sarah looked stressed, but calm. Nothing serious, she said. We're still on track. I asked her if she'd seen Mark. Nope, she said. Thought he was with you. I walked back to my room. Stopped by the front desk to ask if anyone had seen him leave. They hadn't. I opened my phone again. No texts. No updates. Around noon, Emma called. You doing okay? She asked. I'm fine, I said. Mark's missing. There was a pause. Just a second too long. She said. Think he's just late. Maybe. He'll turn up. It's probably nerves. Mark doesn't get nervous, I said. She didn't respond to that. I'll see you at the altar, she said instead. And hung up. I don't know why, but that call didn't feel like reassurance. It felt like a placeholder. At 12:30, the caterer texted me directly, not Sarah. Said they'd run into a minor issue with delivery orders. Someone changed a few of the dishes last minute and swapped out our agreed menu with substitutions. Allergens flagged. A vegetarian plate turned into seafood. It was already half prepped. Emma approved, they said. I didn't remember her ever talking about changing the menu. By 1:15, I was dressed. Alone. Still no sign of Mark. I put on the tie myself, which he was supposed to help with. I stared at my reflection and tried to tell myself this was just normal wedding chaos. But something felt wrong. The kind of wrong you don't recognize until you're already halfway into it. A knock came at the door. One of the hotel staff handed me a sealed envelope. For the groom, he said. I opened it. Inside was a printed photo. Black and white. Grainy. Me, asleep. Taken through the glass. From outside. No note. No sender. Just that one photo. I sat down, still holding it. Mark was gone. Things were changing without notice. Guests were whispering. And now someone was taking pictures of me while I slept. Something was off. And I was starting to realize, it hadn't just started this morning. I kept the photo. Didn't tell anyone. Not even Nate, who stopped by my room around 1:30 to see how I was holding up. He wasn't part of the wedding party, just my cousin. Solid guy, no drama. He could tell something was off. You look like you saw a ghost, he said. I showed him the photo. He looked at it, then at me. That taken today? Last night, I said. From outside the room. He whistled low. Creepy. Security. Wouldn't know where to start. He offered to stick close. I told him I was fine. I wasn't. I headed downstairs to find Sarah. She was by the stage in the reception hall, directing the audio team. The DJ was arguing with a guy from the hotel tech staff about the mic levels. "I'm hearing distortion," the DJ said. "You're pushing through the wrong input," the tech said. "No, I'm not." I waited until they stopped talking, then pulled Sarah aside and asked again if she'd seen Mark. "No," she said. Still nothing. Then she frowned. "Wait, someone used his name to check out a vendor packet earlier. One of the clipboard packets we prepped for staff. Someone said they gave it to Mark, the groom's guy." "What time?" "An hour ago. I thought you found him." "I didn't." "Then who picked it up?" She didn't have an answer. I asked to see the security footage from the front desk area. "I don't think they'll allow." "I'll handle it." I went straight to the front desk and asked to speak to hotel security. Took 20 minutes. Eventually they brought up grainy footage from 12:15 p.m. There was a guy in a suit, dark gray, average height, sunglasses on indoors, walked up to the desk, gave Mark's name, signed something, took the clipboard, and walked off. Not Mark. Never seen the guy before. I asked the staff who checked him in. No one remembered it. I started to get that tight feeling in my chest again. Like I was chasing a thread that didn't want to stay connected. By 2 p.m., guests were being seated for the ceremony. The violinist was replaced last minute, hand cramp, Sarah said again. Now it was a string trio that wasn't on the original program. No one told me about it beforehand. The aisle runners were the wrong shade. Not white, pale gray. No one explained that either. I checked the playlist, songs were in the wrong order. Our first dance track was queued up before the ceremony songs. And the seating chart had been changed. Again. I walked the perimeter. Half of my people weren't where they were supposed to be. A few weren't even there. Nate's wife texted him they were told their invite was voided due to capacity. What capacity? We had plenty of room. Emma's side, full. New faces. People I'd never seen before. Older couples. One guy wearing sunglasses indoors, again. Same frame as the guy on the camera. I scanned the room. None of the groomsmen had shown up. They were friends of Mark's. He'd said he'd handle them all personally. All MIA. That left me with no best man, no support, and a growing list of guests who shouldn't be here. I finally called Emma. "You busy?" I asked. "Just finishing makeup," she said. "Have you seen the guest list today?" "No." "Why? There are names on here I don't know." She didn't respond right away. "Emma? I'll look into it," she said. "Don't stress, okay?" I hung up. Didn't feel reassured. It wasn't just the photo anymore. Or the tuxes. Or the catering mix-ups. This wedding was being reprogrammed in real time. Someone was moving pieces when no one was watching. And I was starting to think maybe the only one not in on it was me. I kept trying to tell myself it was just nerves. Just a bad day, made worse by wedding pressure, expectations, too many moving parts. But by 2:30, things weren't just disorganized, they were breaking. Literally. I was walking past the reception tables to get some air when I heard a crash behind me. The cake had arrived, or tried to. The delivery guys were rolling it in on a cart, but the back wheel locked up, twisted sideways, and the whole top tier slid off the base. Splat. Right in front of the florist, a bridesmaid, and two guests with cameras. Frosting everywhere. The kind of mess you don't recover from with napkins. The lead baker paled. "We can patch it." "No," I said. "You can't." They rolled it back out. Emma would be furious. A minute later, one of the servers spilled red wine onto a white tablecloth. Whole glass. No bump, no distraction. Just, dropped it. The guy looked shaken, like it wasn't the first time he'd done it today. The coordinator rushed over, whispering fast, trying to keep it quiet. I stepped outside. The patio was mostly empty. Just one old guy smoking a cigar, nodding to music only he could hear. I stood near the edge, facing the parking lot. And there it was again. That silver car. Same one I'd seen parked 2 nights in a row outside my room. Now it was sitting across the street from the venue, engine off, windows tinted. Not hotel staff. Not valet. Just there. Watching. I pulled out my phone, snapped a quick photo. Plate partially blocked by a leaf. No clear shot. I started walking toward it. Halfway across the street, it pulled off and drove away. No rush. Just clean. I went back inside. The music had cut out in the ballroom. DJ standing over his table, frowning. Sound system glitched, half the tracks deleted. Backup USB missing. I had everything here this morning, he said. Swear to God. That's when I checked the USB myself. The name on the label was mine. But the files? Not mine. The playlist had been swapped with someone else's folder. Random tracks. No order. Just a mess. I took it back to Sarah. She didn't know what to say. This isn't what I uploaded. Where's the original? Gone. Gone. Everything was getting rewritten, visibly. At 3:10, I found the bartender behind the service area texting. He jumped when he saw me. I asked him who he was messaging. He said, no one, too fast. I asked again. He showed me the screen. It was blank, closed. I checked the name on his badge, it didn't match anyone Sarah had listed. He wasn't on the approved vendor sheet. Who hired you? I asked. Through the agency. What agency? He didn't answer. He just left, walked out the back, didn't come back. I stood there, in the middle of my own wedding setup, and realized. This wasn't just going wrong. It was being dismantled. From the inside. Piece by piece. At 3:45, I went back to my room. Not because I needed to get ready, I was already dressed. I just needed a place without noise. I locked the door behind me. Sat on the edge of the bed. Looked around the room I'd slept in the night before. Neatly folded towel on the chair. Empty coffee cup. A boutonniere wilting in the corner. And then I noticed something small. On the table next to the bed, a second hotel keycard. Not mine. I kept mine in my wallet. This one was loose. Used. I picked it up, turned it over. Blank. The front desk only issues these if someone asks for a second key to the room. No one should have had access. I grabbed my phone, went downstairs, and asked the front desk if anyone had checked out of my room that morning. The girl behind the desk hesitated. I'm sorry, I don't think I can share. I'm the one who booked the room. She clicked through the system. There was one entry this morning at 6:03 a.m. Someone used a spare key to enter. It says issued under your name, but that's not your signature. She turned the screen toward me. Definitely not mine. Who issued it? No notes. But it was signed out by someone using a staff badge. I asked to see security. They pulled camera footage. At 6:01 a.m., a man in a hotel apron walked behind the desk, flashed a badge, and requested a spare key for my room. We zoomed in. It wasn't a hotel employee. Not one from their team. No one recognized him. So now there was a guy on tape entering my room, taking a photo of me while I slept, and using a forged badge to get the key, and no one caught it. I texted Emma. We need to talk. Now. She replied 5 minutes later. Is it urgent? I'm in makeup. I didn't reply. I walked back into the event hall. Sarah was adjusting the chairs again. She saw me, smiled like everything was fine. Almost there, she said. We'll be lining you up soon. I nodded. Then I asked her a question I hadn't asked before. Who submitted the final guest list? She looked confused. You and Emma, I thought. No. I never saw this version. She opened her tablet. Clicked around. It was sent from Emma's email on Wednesday night. That's not possible. We were together that night. Her hand froze over the screen. I leaned in. Let me see the sender's address. It wasn't hers. It was close. But one letter off. An impersonation. I pulled out my copy, the one I printed a week ago. Half the names on the current list weren't on mine. My family. My friends. Replaced. Strangers. Fake names. Empty placeholders. People watching instead of celebrating. A wedding full of people I didn't know, built around a plan I didn't approve, collapsing in slow motion, and I was the only one paying attention. Until a knock came at the side door of the ballroom. A hotel employee, real one this time, walked in with a sealed envelope. For the groom, he said again. Same handwriting. Inside, a note. You still have time. Don't let them finish it. No signature. Just that. And now, I wasn't wondering if someone was behind it. I was wondering how far it already went. 4:15 p.m. Ceremony in 45 minutes. I sat in the hallway outside the ballroom, holding the second note in one hand and the fake keycard in the other. The hallway was quiet, carpeted. One of those hotel corridors that makes you feel like you're underwater. Too much fabric, not enough sound. My suit was starting to feel tight. I texted Nate, need you now. Come to hallway outside ballroom. Don't say anything. Just come. He showed up 5 minutes later, looked at me, then at what I was holding. This real? He asked. Yeah. I handed him the photo of me sleeping. The second note. The list comparisons. The hotel's printout showing my name faked. Nate didn't say much at first. He just read everything, line by line, then looked up and said, "Who the hell is doing this?" "I don't know yet," I said. But Emma's not reacting like someone confused. She's calm. Too calm. "You think she's in on it?" I didn't answer. Because I wasn't ready to say yes. But I was done saying no. Nate said, "Want me to talk to her?" "No," I said. "Just stay visible. Eyes open. Tell me if you see anything weird." He nodded. "Define weird." "Anything that feels rehearsed." He walked off. I went back to the groom's suite, closed the door, sat down, looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't look like a groom. I looked like a guy bracing for impact. Then my phone buzzed. Private number. I picked up. Silence for 3 seconds. Then a voice, male, steady, not young, not old. "You're asking the wrong questions." I stayed quiet. He continued. "It's not about who's missing. It's about who's still here." I said, "Who are you?" He hung up. I played the voice back 3 times. Didn't recognize it. At 4:35, Sarah knocked. "They're lining up." I nodded. "Put on the boutonniere." I stepped into the hallway where the bridal party was forming. Bridesmaids smiling nervously. Emma was at the far end, back turned, bouquet in hand. I walked up behind her. "You okay?" I asked. She turned slowly. Smiled. "Nervous. That makes 2 of us." She didn't ask what I meant. We lined up. The music started. People stood. Doors opened. And right as I was about to take my first step down the aisle, the back doors slammed open. A figure stumbled in. Hair a mess. Shirt ripped. Blood on the collar. Mark. My best man. Alive. Beaten. Breathing heavy. People gasped. Music stopped. He held up a phone. Walked straight down the aisle. The crowd parted. He reached me, shoved the phone into my hands. "Play it," he said, breath ragged. I hit play. And heard Emma's voice. Crystal clear. "I don't care if he finds out afterward. All that matters is the signature. Once it's filed, it's done. Clean. Legal." Another voice. "A man, and you're sure he won't challenge it?" "Emma, he still thinks this is real. That's what makes him perfect." The recording ended. Silence in the room. Emma didn't say a word. Didn't deny it. Didn't even blink. And just like that, the countdown was over. Emma didn't speak. Not a word. Not a reaction. No shock, no apology, no attempt to explain. Just stillness. And that told me more than the recording ever could. Around us, the room froze. You could feel the air change, guests unsure whether to stand, sit, or leave. Someone in the back muttered something. A camera light blinked off. A woman covered her mouth like she'd just witnessed a car crash and wasn't sure whether to look away. I handed the phone back to Mark. Turned to the officiant. "We're done here." He looked like he wanted to vanish. Just nodded and stepped aside. I walked out the center aisle, no music, no applause, no one daring to stop me. Nate followed. So did Mark. I didn't hear Emma's steps. When we got to the hallway, Mark leaned against the wall, catching his breath. "She had people watching me," he said. "When I started asking about the guest list, about who approved what, someone picked me up outside the hotel. Took my phone. Took my wallet. Told me to stay out of it. I didn't." "You still had the recording?" He nodded. "Backed it up before I left. Figured she'd try something." We got into a service elevator and rode it to the basement. Back exit. No crowd. I asked Mark, "Do you know the guy in the call with her?" "I've seen him before," he said. "Matt Rice. Works in legal consulting. Real estate, fake IDs, that whole gray zone. He's been involved in marriage fraud cases before. Quiet ones. Never convicted. So I wasn't the first. No. Just the latest." We walked outside. Light wind. Quiet. My car was still there. Untouched. I drove us to a diner 2 miles away. Mark cleaned up in the restroom. Nate ordered coffee for everyone. I sat at the corner booth and opened my phone again. Looked at the guest list. The fake one. Compared it to my printout from 2 weeks ago. Out of 112 guests, 47 weren't real. Not friends. Not family. Not coworkers. Names with no profiles. No social media. No RSVPs. They weren't there to celebrate. They were there to witness. To validate the marriage. To make it look official. On paper. Emma wasn't marrying me. She was laundering something. Status. Legitimacy. Access. And I was the doorway she needed to walk through. I thought back to the things that didn't add up, the list changes, the replacement vendors, the sudden friendliness from people I barely knew. None of it was chance. She planned it all. And she almost pulled it off. But now it was my turn to finish what she started. I didn't call her. I didn't yell. Didn't send a message. Didn't ask her why. I already knew. It wasn't personal. Not in the way people think. It was business. Cold, precise, and legal. A marriage license, once signed, could be used to secure residency, merge assets, open joint accounts. If I had followed through, she would have had access to parts of my life I hadn't even thought to protect. And based on the timing, based on what Mark found on her phone backup before they grabbed him, this wasn't her first attempt. It was just the first time she'd picked someone like me, boring, predictable, low profile. The kind of guy who doesn't look under the rug until it's too late. Except I did. And now I had the advantage. We spent the next 2 days documenting everything. Mark still had cloud access to the voice memo. We pulled logs, timestamps, metadata. Nate dug through my financials to check if anything had already been moved. 2 pending account authorizations had been filed the morning of the ceremony, both denied once I froze access. I hired a lawyer. Didn't tell him the full story. Just enough: attempted fraud, impersonation, unauthorized access to accounts. Then I contacted 2 agencies, Immigration and Financial Crimes. Both had open interest in Matt Rice. All they needed was someone to draw the line between him and a cooperating third party. I drew the line. With receipts. Emails. Guest lists. Vendor communications. Footage from hotel security. The fake badge. The spare key request. All packaged clean. Emma's name wasn't just on the license. It was on 6 of the substitute guest profiles. She submitted them through a dummy domain that looked like the official wedding portal. All designed to look legitimate until you pulled back the code. They didn't expect anyone would. Once the report went in, I backed away. Didn't touch social media. Didn't answer curious texts. I let the silence do the work. 3 weeks later, I got a call from my lawyer. Marriage flagged. Frozen for review. No valid license filed. Congratulations, you're single. I thanked him. Then he said, "You made some noise. Don't be surprised if someone pushes back." I was ready. The next call came from a blocked number. Female voice. Cool, calm. "You think you've won," she said. I didn't answer. Some things don't erase just because you walk away. Still, I said nothing. Because she was wrong. This wasn't about erasing. This was about letting her know. I saw her. I understood the play. And I shut it down before she finished it. Sometimes, that's the loudest answer you can give. I hung up. Blocked the number. Went back to living. Quietly. No ceremony. No cake. No dance floor. Just clean air, a full name, and nothing left signed. A month passed. I didn't move cities. Didn't change my number. Didn't post a thing. I just went quiet. And that, more than anything, made her nervous. I know because people started calling me. Not Emma. Not Matt. But vendors, acquaintances, even one of the fake guests whose name was listed as a friend from work. They weren't real friends. Most of them weren't even locals. But they were all worried. What's happening with the wedding? Is it true what's going around? I never gave anyone permission to use my name. Exactly. That's when I knew the plan had started to collapse from the inside. All I had to do now was finish it. I sent everything to a contact in the Department of Homeland Security. Not a guy with a badge. A guy who checks names quietly, and likes clean cases with no mess. What I gave him was neat. Names, addresses, photos, contracts, accounts. 1 week later, the case was opened. I got confirmation through my lawyer, silent cooperation requested. No public charges. Just procedural freezing of licenses, assets, and passport records. Emma disappeared after that. No updates. No social. No lawyer of her own. Matt was arrested 3 weeks later in connection to another fraud scheme across state lines. Nothing tied directly to me, which was the point. That's the difference between revenge and cleanup. I wasn't out to ruin anyone. I just wanted it stopped. And I wanted her to know she picked the wrong guy to use. I heard through a mutual friend, someone who didn't know the details, that Emma was traveling for a while, that she'd gone off-grid, trying to clear her head. Let her. I wasn't interested in chasing her across the map. I didn't want an apology. Didn't need one. Because in the end, it wasn't about what she tried to take. It was about what she didn't get. Me. My name. My trust. My silence. She had all the right paperwork. All the right steps. She just underestimated the one thing you can't fake. Someone who's paying attention. And I paid attention. To every detail. Every wrong name. Every missing friend. Every glance that didn't add up. She ran a perfect con, until she ran it on someone who had nothing to lose. Now I walk into weddings differently. Not bitter. Not paranoid. Just aware. Because if someone ever tries a move like that again, I'll see it coming 5 steps ahead. And they won't hear me coming until the door's already closed behind them.